Alright, welcome. This is week 28's homework. This is Wednesday for March 13th. Here, we are asked to find the missing side of a right triangle. So, now for number one, we are first given a right triangle. How do we know this is a right triangle? Because you see this box here in the corner. We have two values for the sides, 4 and 8. We are trying to find the missing value. So first of all, you write the equation for any right triangle, which is from the Pythagorean theorem, which is defined as a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, now we have to label our information. So what is c? C, as what is now displayed, is always opposite side of the right angle. So you see the right angle here, the opposite side here is here, because the arrow shows where the opposite side is, and this is the value c. So in this our case, a is equal to 4, b equals to 8, and c equals our unknown. Okay, b could be 4, a can be 8, doesn't matter, they just have to represent the side. But c is our hypotenuse, which is the opposite side to that 90 degrees. Okay, make this substitution in. 4 squared plus 8 squared equals to c squared. Alright, 4 goes into A, 8 goes into B. 4 squared is 16, 8 squared is 64, c squared is on my right hand side. 16 plus 84 on the left hand side is what I get after I add. Nothing happens to the c squared on the right hand side. Now, we have to get rid of the squared. We're trying to get c alone. So, what do? You square root. Once you square root the power of 2, it basically disappears. It really doesn't disappear. It really becomes the exponent of 1. Right? So, the left hand side just is left as the square root of 80. The right hand side is equal to c. Okay? Notice, c is now alone. Right? It doesn't have a to the power 2 here. Right? It's left alone. It really has to the power 1. Okay? On the left hand side, it becomes just square root of 80. Can you simplify the square root of 80? I think you can. 4, so it becomes 2 square root 10, but just leave it as the square root of 80. If you want to put in decimal form, you can, but you shouldn't. The square root of 80 is 8.9 or 9. 8.9 basically. So it's not that perfect, but leave it as square root of 80. So in this case, c equals the square root of 80. Please understand this step here. When you square root a square, right, there are inverses of each other, so they cancel out. That's why you get 1 here. Right? There's a more finer detail to the question when you look at the exponent, and I could explain that to you later if you would like. Okay? But also your high school teacher should explain that to you. For number 2, given a right triangle, we know this is a right triangle again because of that box. Here's our equation for any right triangle. A squared plus b squared equals to c squared. Draw the arrow from the box to the opposite side and label it that c. Now we can label our information. A equals to 6, b equals to 3, and c equals to our unknown. Make the substitution in. A goes in for 6, b goes in for 3. So you get 6 squared plus 3 squared equals to c squared. 6 squared is 36, 3 squared is 9. That's what you get on the left hand side after you simplified and do the squares. 36 plus 9 equals to 45. That equals c squared. That's what happens after I add. You get c alone, so you have to square root. What is the square root of c squared? And you gotta square root both sides. The left hand side becomes the square root of 45. That equals to c. Again, it is just c because the square root cancels out with the power 2. Notice this square root of 45 can actually be simplified to 3 square root 5. Okay? But watch the other video if you would like to see how to simplify a radical. In this case, I just want you to find the missing side, which is square root of 45. Good? Next. 3. Given a right triangle, you have 7, 10, and are unknown. Write our equation. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. This works for all right triangles, and they say it is a right triangle. What is A, what is B, and what is C? Draw a arrow from the opposite side to the angle to the opposite side. That will get you your value of C. A equals to 7, B equals to 10, C equals to your unknown. Make the substitution in. 7 squared, 10 squared equals to C squared. 7 squared is 49, 10 squared equals to 100. That's what happens after you squared them. 100 plus 49 is 149. 100 plus 49 is 149. Yes, equals to C squared. What do I do to get rid of the squared? I square root. I get square root of 149 on the left hand side. I get C as the right hand side. Good? 4. Alright, given a right triangle, draw your arrow from your box to the opposite side, label it that C. Please understand your equation for any right triangle is a squared plus b squared equals to c squared. Plug in label what a, b, and c is. In this case, a equals to 3, b equals 7, and c equals to your unknown. C represents the hypotenuse. Make that substitution in. 3 squared plus 7 squared equals to c squared. 3 squared is equals to 9. 7 squared equals to 49. Add those together on the left hand side, you get 58 equals to c squared. You got a square root to get rid of the squared. The square root of the squared is c. So on the left hand you get square root of 58. The right hand side is just c. There you go. Those are all your homework solution for Wednesday, March the 13th.